Good afternoon, Facebook. Hi, thanks for joining us. If you notice, this Facebook is a little different. You get to see me, not hear my voice. Today we have Paul from Workforce Management Sales. Hi, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks. We're going to talk about employee engagement. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Paul.
Sure, I'm happy to. So I'm a WFM solution specialist here at NICE. So I focus on all things workforce management related, as well as our employee engagement manager product, which we'll talk a little bit about today. I'm in my 6th year at NICE, and actually 15 years in the workforce management space. So yeah, really happy to be talking to you today about this.
Great. So it's a hot topic, employee engagement.
It is. We're seeing the entire industry start to change and refocus its vision on this topic and on this technology. So I think if you look back in history, it really all started with employee satisfaction, right? So it was important for companies to really be sure that their employees are happy in their jobs, because a happy employee stays around longer, right? So it was no surprise that an engaged employee, right, is a happy employee. So how do you take people and really get them, involved in their work and wanting to be there, so that you can attract new people into the organization, as well as retain people in an organization? So this is such a hot topic that analysts in the industry today are starting to change their focus to really look at employee engagement as a critical KPI. So the proof in this is you have analyst organizations like Gartner, as an example. Gartner used to measure, just workforce management or just quality management. Then that focus shifted to workforce optimization, right, as the industry trended toward that direction of multiple technologies. Today, the category is workforce engagement management. And I'm happy to say for you and I, NICE happens to be the leader in that upper right quadrant. So good for us. It really validates that what we're doing as a company and what technologies we have are meeting the industry needs.
Sure. What other trends do you see in the industry?
A lot. So I think as we start to look at contact centers in general, the face of the contact center is changing, right? We still have some organizations that have long tenured people in these positions, but what we're seeing as more and more millennials come into the workspace, their requirements of what's taking place in their job and what attracts them to the job is sort of shifting. And there's also, you might be familiar with the gig economy. So think Lyft and Uber as an example, right? These are people who either have other jobs and are picking up additional hours, or this is their career and they work when they want, based when the demand is there. So when you start to look at things like that, it's really changing what's important to these people. So let me ask you a question. If we surveyed contact center workers today, what do you think the #1 career driver would be in terms of why they go to work for a particular company or why they stay at a particular company?
I would think compensation, bonus, benefits.
Well, if you surveyed me, yes, that's the right answer. But as we start to bring these surveys out to millennials and the people who are involved in the gig economy, it's not the case. It's actually the work-to-life balance, which equates, in the case of a contact center, to schedule flexibility as the #1 choice, even above pay and benefits. Isn't that amazing?
It is. I guess I'm a millennial too. Yes. But on a serious note, I could see how, that could be a challenge to the contact center.
Very much so, right? Because you think about our customers, the people that are watching us today, they still have to serve their customers, right? So the customers are calling into the organization. You still have to staff to meet service levels. You have to staff effectively, efficiently, not be overstaffed. You also don't want to have your occupancy too high where people are not staying around. So you still need to find that balance, if you will. And that balance is going to be not only meeting service level, but meeting your employee needs as well. So let's think about that. We mentioned Uber and Lyft as an example. Let's think about what they do in this industry. So we're sitting across the river from the biggest city in the country, right? There are people that are needing transportation all over the city, and there's Lyft and Uber cars all over the place. So we have a demand of customers that require transportation. Those companies know how many drivers are contracted with them, and they also know how many people are actually out driving, right? So how do they do that? How do they do that effectively? Well, they have data and technology that helps them execute on that. So let's look at the flip side. So all of a sudden there's a surge in customer demand. We need more drivers, right? Think about, and I know all of you people watching can associate with this. Think about if Uber or Lyft just sent out an email, blasted out an email to several hundred drivers to say, hey, I need additional drivers in the next hour. If they did that, their model would implode because it's not in real time. It's not an effective way of communicating. Well, that's starting to happen in our contact centers, right? So you have to be able to manage fast. You have to be able to understand what the trends are and react quickly to them. So, so what the result of that is contact centers today, as these millennials and the gig economists come into the workforce, one of two things has to happen. The first one is either they're going to limit how much schedule flexibility and changes can take place. Well, guess what? That's not going to attract people to come to work for them. Or they're going to offer those types of changes, but it's going to come at a very high cost and a very tedious manual process to process these changes.
So I'm guessing that would be the employee engagement manager.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep, that's where it comes in.
So what exactly is that though?
Yeah, so it's a technology that can sit on any vendor's workforce management tool. Obviously, we're tightly integrated into our workforce management tool. It's an add-on to a workforce management solution, and it does primarily three things. One, as the name implies, it engages employees, right? And it does that in several different ways, by giving people that flexibility, by reaching out to them in a very efficient way to offer things like overtime, voluntary time off, and so on. While doing that, it also optimizes staffing. So our workforce management people in the audience, they spend a lot of time managing staffing levels every interval of every day, so that, again, they're serving their customers in the right time frame when they call in, but not doing it at too high of a cost. So this is a tool that, as employees are being engaged, they're actually helping the workforce managers out there optimize their schedules. And then the third thing, it helps manage performance, right? So there are a whole host of alerting features that, when the calls are blowing up, to be able to get people back on the phones, to be able to ensure people, alert people if they're in violation of adherence or something like that. So it's a really effective tool for driving that. And here's the beauty of it. It's all automated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a really powerful tool that takes away the real manual processes of having to do those things today.
That sounds so cool. So by what you're saying, it doesn't seem like it's just a tool for employees.
Yona, you're exactly right. So yes, it does. There is a huge benefit to the employees, right? From an empowerment perspective, from filling that work-to-life balance, certainly those elements are there. But this also has benefit in organizations to managers and supervisors, as an example, right? So we talk about the communication piece. Let's think about, you were in a contact center.
Yeah.
So think back to your contact center days when you wanted to leave an hour early, or trade a schedule with an agent, or pick up some extra hours, or voluntary time off. I'm guessing you would probably put in a request with your supervisor or manager. If they were at their desk, they would then turn around and send it to the workforce management team. It likely would have to sit in queue because they're getting a lot of these requests day in and day out. And the workforce managers would then have to analyze all these conditions about their net staffing, about you and your eligibility to make these changes, right? Your skills, of the forecast data. They'd have to go out and analyze all these conditions. And guess what? That time you wanted off from 3 to 5 p.m.
You didn't get it.
Can't get it because we're just understaffed. So the streamlining the communication to first of all take the supervisor out of the mix completely, keep them notified, right? We want to keep them engaged and notified that things are happening, but to streamline that has been a tremendous benefit. And then we talked about the performance piece as well, right? If, like I said, if you're sitting in the break room and you're running a little over, you could get a notification that says, "Hey, we need you on the phones," right? Certainly, workforce managers love this technology because this is now all those things we talked about that they're doing after a request comes in. Now they own the technology, they own the business rules that help them to identify those conditions ahead of time, so that when you're looking to make that change, you'll know instantly whether you're on your web portal when you're in the office, or even if you're out of the office on a mobile application, you're trying to make that change, you'll know as you're looking at the screen whether it's going to get approved or denied.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That is really cool. So that is, it makes it an instant communication. So the workforce managers, it's faster issue resolution, right? It's not that back and forth, because what did you do when that request is denied?
Oh, back and forth, and then you're
Put
like,
another one in, right?
Yeah.
So this removes that multi-step process, and it allows workforce managers to go back to being workforce analysts. So really doing the workforce planning and analysis as opposed to just processing those transactions. And finally, I'd say from a business perspective, right? There's no shortage of value to the business itself, right? So from higher utilized employees, if an employee's happy, guess what? They're less likely to attrit, so we don't have the turnover with employees that we're looking for. And ultimately lowering cost in the cost of rehiring people, as well as the overhead to manage all of these changes today.
It sounds like it's a very smooth, seamless process.
It is. It really is tightly integrated with the WFM product.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Do you know if there's anything in the industry right now, a product like this?
Yeah, it's a good question. No, not really. I think there are tools out there that focus sort of in and around this intraday, interday space, like they focus on, let's say, occupancy management. So we've got people sitting at their desks, the phones, they're not occupied, the phones are not ringing as much as we had expected. So, let's keep them busy. Let's push a little training out to them, or let's maybe change their skill, right? But guess what? That assumes that we're overstaffed to begin with, right? And the other part of that is there's really not a benefit to the agent themselves, because they're just being pushed this additional work. So it doesn't have the dynamic that employee engagement manager does to ensure that they're empowered and engaged. The other part of it is a lot of the WFM vendors in the market are coming out with mobile applications, right? So mobile application is nice. It takes the communication outside of work. But what it does is it really is just an extension of the current workforce management technology and the workforce management process that exists today, which we know is manual, right? It just brings it to a mobile media. So it really doesn't have the optimization capabilities as employee engagement management does.
This is so interesting.
It's so exciting. It's a really great time to be in workforce management, because I think it really brings the whole process. It's literally changing the way our customers do business. I love one quote from one of our telco providers. They had all these statistics that they looked at before and after implementation. And one of the pieces was about adoption. So within 3 months, 80% of their people had adopted and using the product. So not just downloading it, but actually making changes with the technology. And one of the quotes from the agent was the best. There's a place in the tool to give feedback. One of the quotes was the best. Is they said, "This is the best thing to happen to our WFM organization ever."
Wow.
So that's really neat.
That's a great comment.
Yep.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
It was very helpful. I hope the audience thinks it's helpful too. If our viewers wanted to know more information, what can we do?
Oh, well, they should certainly pick up the phone and call you or I. But we'll be busy with our customers. But no, so all kidding aside, certainly engage your account executives to schedule a demo. We can do a demo and sort of do it in context of the challenges that you guys have today, and really show you how we can take this to the next level. Other steps we could do along with that is myself and my peers, we can help you also do a deeper analysis to help write a business case, right? So help you validate how and why this technology will be beneficial to you. So that's certainly something we can do. I want to tell you that if you look in the comments below, you'll see a link to our roadshows. We have 6-city North American Roadshow coming up in the next few months. Really exciting. We'll have some great speakers specifically talking about employee engagement. And then also in the comments, if you look at the link, we're going to share a video with you. This is a really great, exciting video.
Yes.
And you've seen it, right?
Yes.
It's fantastic. It's
Yes.
a day in the
Very
life
good.
of a contact center, showing you how this tool, from the employees to the supervisors to the workforce management guy. The workforce management guy is my favorite person in the video. I think you guys are going to love it.
So don't forget to check it out. Don't forget to also comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And check us out next week. We have back office.
Yeah, it should be another
Thanks,
great session.
Paul.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Natalie. Great
thank
to work
you.
with you. See ya.